Hi, I'm Becca, and I chose to rewrite the story of The Horse Dealer's Daughter by D.H. Lawrence for my Rethinking project. So, before I get started on the work that I did, I am going to tell you a little bit about the author. D.H. Lawrence was one of the greatest English novelists during the 20th century. His works consisted of controversial topics, innovative nature, and concern with human relationships. I learned that his mother inspired his love for literature as she prioritized education when he was a kid, and he also wrote a lot as he traveled, so that inspired some of his works as well. So, about the time period, Lawrence's works were written during the 20th century, where literacy was shifting towards modernism and more experimentation of expression. Modernism was a movement in arts that rejected traditional values and techniques in society and started shifting toward the importance of individuals and their experiences in life. So here's some background of the horse dealer's daughter story itself. So the story was about the daughter of a horse dealer named Mabel Purvin, whose experiences were numb and hardship after the loss of not only her mother at the young age of 14, but newly the loss of her father at the age of 27. In the story, she's not very close with her brothers, even though she has three of them, and she's never really been close with them. However, she worked in her household, and she served them and her father for years to make it by with finances. Her mother was her main inspiration, even though she died at such a young age for Mabel. And once her father passed, she just felt like there was nothing left for her, and so she tries to take her own life. Though she did not have a close relationship with her father, he still did keep her busy as he gave her work to do, which made her feel like she was making her mother proud. The family's friend, who is a doctor, his name is Jack Ferguson, actually catches her in the act and saves her life, which leads her to believe that he loves her, when in reality, this isn't the case at first. He simply saved her life because he viewed her as a patient and knew the hardship the family was going through at the time. But as he realizes that she loves him, he falls in love with her for not just being a client, but for the woman that she is. Which before this, there's points in the story that he kind of like recognizes her, in which like the reader kind of got the idea that he was interested, even though he claims he wasn't. So here's what I did my rethinking project on. I didn't change the story a whole lot, but I did put a twist on the story by telling it from Mabel's point of view and emphasizing her feelings of loneliness and emptiness with the loss of both of her parents. Her brothers obviously didn't care about her, and in my version, I kept that the same, so I decided to emphasize her relationship with her deceased mother, and in the end, Mabel ends up taking her life, which weirdly, in my version, makes her feel rejoiced because she's reunited with her parents. In my story, I dug deeper into Mabel's mind and used imagery to describe how she felt, and I even used a few metaphors. For example, I compared her heart to a foggy cloud to suggest that her heart was just really empty. I also switched the ending to show Mabel hearing her parents, that they actually talked to her from the pond that she ended up dying in, and it kind of, in a way, like for her, put values behind what she did, as she just wanted to be reunited with her parents. I also titled my new work "With Love, Mabel," signifying her goodbye note to the world that she left behind. I also chose to switch the story the way I did, as Lauren's works often criticized the evil in society. So flipping the point of view and changing the ending to a darker outcome for Mabel, it reflected a more unexpected turn and offered the idea that sometimes evil acts, even though she did it to herself, can sometimes get the best of people. In Mabel's case, her actions were seen as evil from the outside, but really it was what she wanted. I also felt it was important to keep the work as a more serious tone in order to portray the way that Lawrence often made his own works. I felt like if I made it a comedy, it would completely change the message and the theme of the story, which was not my intention when I rewrote it. During the process of my rethinking project, I chose something I felt would be a bit more simple to change so that I could learn more about what the writing process of authors is truly like, especially during these time periods. And I chose the 20th century as it's the most similar of all of them in relation to the world today. Oftentimes works today express individual internal struggles and focus on writing about times where there's a big event going on in the life of the character or just life in general. And this is similar to the way that Lawrence portrays Mabel's life, with not only the death of her parents, but also the struggle of feeling alone with the family she has still on Earth. I also learned that when writing works like this one, it's important to use a lot of detail and dialogue to truly express how certain characters are feeling, in this case, Mabel's feelings. And I also formally structured my story just as Lawrence did his, as well as adding in a bit of old-fashioned language in order to keep the time period in place. By doing this project, I now have a lot of respect for those who write, and especially those who wrote during this time period.